regional commissioners, our county commissioners, our security infrastructure across the country, public servants in the Ministry of Interior, and in all the ministries who work out there in the field, who have been working very closely in the mobilization exercise so far. This exercise, as you know, has been going on for 5 weeks, during which time we have registered 31 million Kenyans. That is a very impressive number. It represents about 65% of our projected population in the country in terms of registration. And we hope that if we go to the daily averages that we have been having, especially during the peak of the registration exercise, we are well on our way to achieving the registration of 40 million Kenyans who will get registered by the end of this week. As we said earlier, the exercise closes on Saturday, 18th of May. Kenyans need to know that, truth be told, we are paying our RAs who are doing this exercise 1,000 shillings a day. And every time, if we lose a day or we extend by a day, it means we are going to spend a little more money to do the exercise. But our plan is that this closes by Saturday, 18th of May. This week, we began another phase of registration that addresses Kenyans in the diaspora. We have distributed a total of 154 KIMS kits in 54 missions around the world. We started active registration, as you saw, in various parts of the world. And from all reports we are receiving from our missions abroad is that that exercise is going well. We started a bit late in the missions out there because we had to get in some of our officials from the missions and train them on how to use the KIMS kits so that they do the right thing. And because of that, the Kenyans in the diaspora will have until 20th of June to do their mass registration. In other words, mass registration for Kenyans in the diaspora will end on 20th of June. On behalf of my colleagues here with me and on behalf of the rest of us in government, I would like to sincerely thank the citizens of this country for turning up in large numbers, for registering, for getting their huduma number. We do not need to belabor this now. Everyone understands that that is how we are going to manage ourselves as a modern country, with every Kenyan having a UPI. And therefore, this makes our service delivery and service provision much easier and focused as we move forward. So, we hope, therefore, that now that everyone understands that this exercise is coming to an end on Saturday, May 18th, I would like to urge all Kenyans to turn out in large numbers. Finally, this morning, the Interministerial Committee has decided that because this is the last week and we want to give everyone an opportunity to do their registration, we are now going to operate between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. across the country this week. At some point, the President had directed us that we start at 6 in urban areas, and we started opening registration centers at 6 a.m. in Nairobi, Kisumu, Eldoret, Nakuru, Mombasa, Nyeri, and some other places. But now, because this is the last week, we would like to operate a 6 to 6 registration process. So those who have not registered, those who have not gotten their huduma numbers, have no excuse not to go to the various registration centers before they go to work in the morning to register and get their huduma numbers. The Interministerial Committee will continue to meet and review the exercise as we go along. with a view to submitting our report to His Excellency the President by the end of this week, as we were instructed. But the exercise has gone on very smoothly, and you can see from the numbers that the response has been positive, very encouraging, and we can say, as responsible public servants, that we have spent our time and resources responsibly to ensure that Kenyans get their huduma number. I thank everyone who has been involved in this, our national political leaders, our honorable members of parliament, our governors who have participated in this. We thank them sincerely, and we continue to work together to ensure that we move our country to the next level of service delivery. Thank you very much.
So there are no plans to extend this registration?
There are no plans to extend this registration exercise at all. We close on May 18th. You know what we are doing is that this phase of registration ends on May 18th. We have no plan to extend it. As I said, there are budgetary implications to it. So we do not have any plan to extend the exercise. I need to emphasize that this is mass registration, which is ending on Saturday 18th. So after that, because the KIMS kids are going to be with the assistant chief, if for some reason someone misses out, they may go to the assistant chief. But I'm very afraid myself that the assistant chief is going to, because now this is the focus. After that, there are many other things that the assistant chief will focus on. So you'll have to go and look for the assistant chief at some point, figure out whether he has enough time to deal with you at that time. But every Kenyan should be advised to take advantage of the mass registration period right now. Next.
My name is Caroline from KTN. I still want to know, is it mandatory, and what are the consequences for those who do not register for huduma number?
You know, we face this question all the time. At times people ask things you don't even know whether to laugh about them or cry. Because you see, the question is, we don't want to force you to register, just like we cannot force you to take a PIN number at KRA. But you are smart enough to know that if you are going to seek services, you need to get the services in a manner that is much more facilitative and faster. And we are telling Kenyans, we have come to a regime where we want to get an huduma number so that when you go to the huduma center, your details can be accessed very easily, your services can be provided with your details available on the screen. Now, why do you want to go to the Precambrian era, the old age of using papers, so that you are told every time, wait, we go to look for your file, and your service takes a week or 2 weeks, because, you know, looking for files and checking them is not an easy affair, and you know that yourself. So we cannot force you to register, but we think it's a reasonable thing to do, because getting services any other way is going to be unnecessarily bothersome and cumbersome for you. But if that's what you prefer, to be making trips to an office 5-6 times, because no one can guarantee you they're going to get a document in a day or 2 or 3, that's also a choice for you to make. But that's why we are advising people in a very diplomatic way. It is very sensible for you to register and have an huduma number. And please get one, because it costs you nothing. It is a good thing to do. And it's being done by your government, using your tax resources. So why would you want to argue about a simple, straightforward matter like that? Just a minute, I want to ask my colleague Joe to add something about that. Maybe.
No, I think there is not much more to add. But in this day and age, we are all using technology. We are all able to get a lot of services. Look at the impact M-Pesa and other mobile money services have had in the country. So we want to ensure that we are not analog in one part. You can't be identified, and yet you want to use very many different services. So by having a huduma number, you're able to get services across, from government and even in private sector. You're able to be identified very quickly, very easily. We're able to ensure there's a lot of trust in the services you're being given, whether it's borrowing money or you're lending. So it is optional, but it's going to be very cumbersome if you actually do not have the huduma number. So I would encourage that you do have a huduma number. Thank you.
You can answer the next one.
Yes, my name is Sada Nyango from the Daily. I just wanted to know when will the portal be ready for Kenyans that want to update the information?
So in terms of updating information, it will depend on what services you're looking for. So that's going to be available at Huduma centers. We'll have an online portal, but it should be after July, end of July, not before July. We are going to go through this phase. We'll do the cleanup of the data, and then we'll begin to issue the actual Huduma number, and that should be from around end of July.
Our last question, thank you.
I think this is a concern that has been brought up by many who have been criticizing the
You are
process.
Who are you?
My name is Gladys Gashanjo from MTV. The question is, have you taken care of the back end of the process where people are concerned about data protection and data protection?
That has been taken care of. So one, let me take you through. We already have the Access to Information Act in place. So people cannot access your data from government just willy-nilly. There is a way and a clear process on how data can be accessed. Cabinet has also passed the Privacy and Data Protection Policy for the country, and we're in the process through the National Assembly and the Senate of actually getting the Privacy and Data Protection Bill passed. We already have systems and laws in place that take care of citizens' data. We're already taking care of your passport. We're already taking care of your ID. We have all this information, and it's not freely available to people. So Kenyans should rest assured that your data is safe with the government. We have added, in terms of the privacy and data protection, we're adding such that even private sector and others who hold citizen data that is personally identifiable, we're putting laws so that they can be able to manage this data in a way that protects your privacy. So Kenyans should be relaxed on this one. We have taken care of the data protection and even the policies within government ensure that you're safe. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, no, it's all right. Allow her to ask. We don't have to look like we are avoiding to answer questions. Go ahead, go ahead.
For the school-going children, some do not get an opportunity to register. What happens to them?
They have an opportunity to register. Do you want to respond? Huh?
I think
There will be an opportunity to register all the time.
registering them actually in schools.
We are registering in schools. Isn't
We're
it?
already in school, is it?
Yeah, we are already in schools and we have extended the time. So that should be able to capture those who are not assisted before.
So can I ask, I have a question outside the Huduma number.
No.
I'll make arrangements for that, not today. Thank you very much.
It's a tough lady.
Wacha nikimbie state house.
Thank you.